I speak 5 languages. I've lived in 13 countries. My entire family's in France. I learned English when I was 8. All my languages I learned before 10. I lived here for 2 years. I learned English, and then I went back. I speak French, Arabic, English, Moroccan, and Greek. The way my brain works, I have like a checklist. Sometimes I sort of skip over. Good morning, how are you? How was your weekend? And I'm just like, hey, this needs to be done. I'm a doer. I'm not a talker, I'm a doer. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I go back home to France. Dinner's like a 3-hour ordeal, and I'm sitting here like, I got things to do. We gotta go. Where's this waiter? And my family's like, relax, Fatima. You're uptight American. What is wrong with you? And I'm like, listen, dude. I have things to do. They don't understand how hard we work here in the United States. But I'm not saying this is good. This is a negative, right? Because our brains are like, go, 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 go. That's when we get bad sleep. We're working ourselves to death. Do you understand I work 80 hours a week? I have not ever in my life worn clothes to sleep.
So would you say that you are more of a top or a bottom?
Oh my God, this is...
Welcome back to Sleeping Around the podcast. I have been known to squeeze this and be a little loud. So we're still in Austin.
Yes, we are.
At this beautiful Omni.
Yeah.
So it's probably been about 3 years since I met this person. She has become not only a mentor in this industry, but just an amazing friendship. I go to her for questions about sleep when I'm making connections, and I trust her. So she's like a barometer to me. The very first conversation we ever had was a Teams call, and she was holding me accountable. I love that shit. Like, I love that. And she's like, okay, so you said you're going to do, okay, when's the date? All right, look at me. Look, you know, my company had historically had people that just didn't follow through. Sure. Right. And that leadership in them, they're long gone. But Fatima lived through that. And so I'm honored that you came to Austin, Fatima Denney, who is a friend of mine.
For having me on Sleeping Around.
So thank you so much for being here. I really
didn't know you were going to sleep with us, did you?
I'm really honored. I call her my work wife. And like
was your work wife?
Well, hold on. She goes, does Ashley know about us? And I said, yes, Ashley does. Ashley's excited to meet you.
I really did text him that.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend will be there. I said, does Ashley know about us?
Yes.
And then I was like, man, she's next to him. Isn't
Yeah. No. And I am just so thank you for being here.
I'm honored. I've been watching this podcast for years, and I kept thinking one day I'll make it.
I invited you.
I am finally worthy.
Well, number one, you've always been worthy. I've said this before. My mother gave me the best piece of advice as a young man, to surround yourself by women.
I think your mom only said that because she wanted you to be well fed. So just surround yourself with women.
That's true.
Make sure you're eating.
So how was the trip in? You came from Arizona?
It was great, smooth and easy. This is one of my favorite hotels. I was actually here this year, a few months back. Yeah, Austin's an awesome place. So smooth ride in.
So although I met you 3 years ago, how long have you been in the sleep business?
I've been in sleep for about 12 years. I started with Sleep Med. They had 250 sleep labs. Mm-hmm. They had the DME portion, mm-hmm. and then they had the Aries Watermark home sleep test device. So it was the largest sleep diagnostic sleep company in the country. And it really gave me a chance to learn, you know, the PAP therapy component. Mm-hmm. It gave me a chance to learn about HSTs. Watermark was one of the pioneers. Mm-hmm. And then we would run sleep labs. We would manage sleep labs. We would sell. We would buy. Wow. We had the most contracts in the country. And so I was a rep. I started off as a sales rep. I had 6 states. And then eventually I became their national director, which I was over every state in the country. There was this huge interest in sleep dentistry. All these dentists were saying, wait a second, I don't have to do this fill and drill. And so many of these people complain to me about snoring. I'm tired. And I always say, if there's 2 doctors that should be testing for sleep, it's one, cardiologists, right? And then you have your dentists that see the majority of the general population. And I actually had OSA, and I had to get my tonsils out. Severe OSA. Snoring, breathing with my mouth open. I was a mouth breather. I actually still tape my mouth because even though my tonsils and adenoids are out, it's like a habit. You got to like, you know, you got to remember to sleep with your mouth closed. So I tape my mouth. But I saw that and I thought, why aren't more of these dentists screening, right? They should be more aggressive in doing this. And of course, you got the politics, right? Certain states, no, they shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, why?
Well,
Make
you helped
this
me with that.
available.
Yeah, you really helped me with that. Kind of navigate.
Yeah.
I thought as soon as I started working for SonoMed, I'm going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Because I know all these doctors. I have all these relationships with national DMEs.
Yeah.
I'll just hook a dentist up to them and I'll retire in 2 years.
That's right.
Can't do it's the politics, it's the laws, it's the so you
That's right.
really helped. You were one of the first.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can't do that. You're like, no.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest obstacles is gapping that bridge between the physician and the dentist.
Right.
And because I had relationships with the physicians, you know, I could say, hey, you know, my PCP doctor down the street, work with this dentist, you know, send each other referrals. And I think people have the perception that most doctors are like, you should not be doing that. That's not true. You have the endocrinologist, you have the primary care, you have the cardiologist, you have so many different specialties that are open to testing for sleep.
Absolutely.
Especially your primary care internal medicine.
Absolutely.
Because those are the guys that need the revenue, right? They're not making what the specialists are making. And a lot of times people are like, oh, you need a sleep study, go back to your primary care. Your primary care is like, I don't do sleep studies. So it's really great that you and I linked up because then we were able to gap that bridge with those doctors and the dentists, right? And sort of give the dentist the tools that they need to be successful with oral appliance therapy.
Absolutely.
Right. So that was a journey, and I'm really grateful for my Sleep Med Watermark days because I really understood the CPAP side of how many people are just don't want to wear it. Yep. Right. Or even if they're mild and moderate, they were automatically put in a CPAP. And I'm like, dude, there has to be another option.
Right. I could feel Anne like wanting to, like,
No,
I know.
I'm listening. I'm totally relaxed. You're just, you know what it is? It's the Victorian look. It makes me probably look very uptight.
No, not
like,
uptight.
no,
Looks
actually,
regal
I'm just
and
like,
regal.
yes, no, I'm listening.
Well, maybe
Go
I'm
on.
so used to working with you now that I hear a question.
You know,
Yeah.
you're like, I know exactly.
I
what
can't
wanna
run
say.
up the statistics you
Yeah,
can, but there was so I could just tell. So no, I loved your journey because it helped me too. And we did kind of help each other because I came from the Respironics Philips world of the CPAP. So my Rolodex was rich on that side. Yeah. So both of us, she goes, wait a second, you've never called on a dentist? I go, no. She goes, why did you get her personality? Then why did they hire you?
What are they doing with you?
I go, well,
why are you here?
I'm starting a new thing called the medical initiative. Like, and you're like, oh, great. Well, who do I need to talk to get like it was? You were so awesome, and but again,
just say it. Just say it. You were very blunt.
I love that.
You were very blunt. That's Fatima.
Yeah. I would rather have somebody she knows.
You know what's so funny though is that very frequently women will be mischaracterized as being like bitches or like, as you said, blunt. Where if I were a man and I had the same direct, they'd be like, man, that guy is driven. He knows exactly what needs to be done. And the reality is that I'm very similar to you. It's like I'm very like not taking crap. I tell my team all the time, I run it based on 5 principles: trust, respect, communication, best-in-class care, and teamwork. And so you're never going to get drama from me. And I also will frequently redirect people when we're dealing with a challenging situation. Yeah. And they'll say something along the lines of like, oh, I can see where that's very frustrating. Yeah. And so then I literally will put up my hand and say, no. I think you've mistaken the word to use. Yeah. Frustration, if you read the definition, is an emotional response to something that I'm unable to change or influence. And so this is an emotion. This is me calling you out on the fact that what you're stating is malaligned with the principles and practices of what we agreed on, right? Yeah. And so people would say, that's blunt, that's direct, that's, you know what? It's not wasting anyone's time. My time is too valuable,
you
right?
never have to wonder with her.
And I won't lose any night's sleep.
That's right.
Over someone telling me I'm frustrated and the emotions associated with it and the drama, etc. So it is my key recipe as being a boss babe, right?
That's right.
Of saying, I'm going to get my good night's sleep because I run on those 5 principles. I hold people accountable. And you know what? I'm not going to apologize or negatively connotate the fact that you are going to get direct. You are going to get exactly what I said. Yep. And I am going to hold you accountable to the same exact expectation.
One of the things that I can share on this L-shaped couch is that 3 people here that are grinders. Fatima and I used to talk about this quite a bit with our teams. We have lazy people.
Oh, yeah.
They don't work.
They don't
They lie. And the respect comes from Fatima and me to each other is that grinding.
It is.
Like, it's awesome. Like, I know she travels, she's out there, people know her, and it's about the accountability. I never thought about it till you just said that. Like, that's a damn shame.
Yeah. You know, the way my brain works is that I have like a checklist, right? And things need to get done. And so sometimes I sort of skip over the formalities, like, hey, good morning. How are you? How was your weekend? And I'm just like, hey, this needs to be done.
Right.
Because my brain is like, let me check it off. Because I'm a doer.
You are.
I'm not a talker. I'm a doer.
You are.
If I say I'm going to do something, I do it.
It's true.
And so that's just how my brain thinks, is like, let's just get it done. So when I go back home to France, right, life in France is like very different than the U.S. So my family will go out to dinner. And
don't they eat like ridiculous, like at 9?
We eat at 9. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. We eat late. I'm still a night owl, but I still wake up early, so that doesn't make sense. But so yeah, my family will go out to dinner, and the waiter sucks, and he doesn't come back for 45 minutes. I'm waiting for salt, and dinner's just like a 3-hour ordeal. And I'm sitting here like, I got things to do. We gotta go. Where's this waiter? Where's And my family's like, relax, Fatima, come on, you're uptight American. What is wrong with you? And I'm like, listen, dude, I have things to do. I'm not
even on vacation.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's a
Okay.
bad. It's not good. I'm not saying this is good. This is a negative, right? Because our brains are like, go, 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 right? And they're just like, they're in siesta mode.
I'm envious of those people.
I am too. They have great lives.
Yeah.
Listen, they wake up at 9. They stroll into work around 10. They have siesta from 12 to 2. They're done with work at 4, and then everything's closed.
And how many holidays do they actually have?
Oh, my family gets 10 weeks a year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they're like, Fatima, why don't you call us? Why didn't you come visit? Do you understand? I work 80 hours a week. Like, we don't and you know what? I hadn't taken a vacation for 3 years at that point, but they don't understand how hard we work here in the United States.
Yes.
And then that's when we get bad sleep, right? So when we get
100%.
bad sleep, we're working ourselves to death.
Literally.
You do
Literally
an
and figuratively.
amazing impression of, is that your mother you're doing?
It's like my aunts.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I can do all accents.
So am I and I never asked you this question as my friend. Where are you originally from? France?
Yeah, South France, Montpellier, born and raised.
Oh, so do you know Yves then? Yves Davier?
No.
He's a French sleep physician and sleep scientist who, that's where he's based out of
Montpellier?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's South France. You don't know I'm from France?
How long were you there? I'm blunt. I get right to the point. Pleasantries aside, we always talk work.
So I speak 5 languages.
I did know
I've
that.
lived in 13 countries.
Wow.
By the age of 16, my father was a diamond dealer. And so, yes, my entire family's in France. Everybody.
I knew that.
Oh, you did?
So I didn't know that.
They're there.
But you came and you stayed.
I stayed. I
Okay.
came back, not I stayed, because I learned English when I was 8. I lived here for 2 years.
Huh.
I learned English, and then I went back.
Okay.
So all my schooling was all overseas.
Okay.
So it was just enough time for me not to get my family's thick accent.
Okay.
So I don't have a French accent. So I got lucky. All my languages I learned before 10.
Wow.
So I don't have an accent in them.
And what are the other languages you speak?
I speak French, Arabic, English, Moroccan, and Greek.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
Moroccan
amazing.
and Arabic are similar, but they're not.
Yeah.
Got it.
Moroccan has a lot of different languages mixed in it.
Got it.
So
Arabic is very specific.
Arabic is specific, and I read and write it as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I read and write.
That's
so,
incredible.
So yeah, so
So she's actually a spy, right? She's actually like an international spy.
It's funny when I was at Watermark, the CEO used to call me the CIA agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Like,
there's
she's-
no way.
Yeah,
She's totally using this to dupe everyone. She's like, yes, sleep. I've been in it for 12 years. And I also...
Dun, 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 dun. Fatima, you're so awesome. So in our relationship, and we're dealing with sleep, you've recently had a change, and
I
you
did have a
work for another company now.
I did have a change. I went a little lighter on my hair.
Yeah, I like it.
And
it looks good.
No, I'm kidding. Yes. So I left Sleep Image. I was there for, a little less than 2 years. And I started a position with iSleep Physicians. And iSleep Physicians, I'm sure a lot of people know Dr. Singh. He was
He's
a
the man.
pioneer
The man.
in
Yeah.
the sleep world. He was one of the first physicians in the United States to be licensed in all 50 states in sleep. And for years, for close to a decade, I've been sending him a lot of business.
He's hilarious and
it's-
he's down to earth.
He is.
And ask him the story about the time that he and I almost got kicked out of a bar for being too loud.
Really?
We're at a bar and it's just like we're laughing, we're talking, etc. And they come over and they're like, we're getting complaints that you guys are really too loud. And we're like, this is a bar.
Yeah.
This is a bar. We all have a couple drinks in us, right?
No.
And they came over. They came over multiple times saying this. And the last time that they came over, they were like, if we have to come over again, like we are going to have to ask you to leave. My husband, he actually has very, very significant training in crime scene remediation, biohazard. There also is this whole training on how loud things are and whether or not you have to wear certain ear protection, et cetera. He just had this training, right?
Oh, so he is an expert.
Yeah. And so he just had this training and he was teaching me all about it, like telling me all about it. And he's like, yeah, so there's noisometers that will be able to register the certain decibels, They come back over again. We've asked you several times. I'm like, can I ask you a question? Do you have a noisometer? They're like, I'm sorry, what? If you don't have a noisometer to demonstrate that the decibels at our table are actually louder than the next table over, then
like,
what I'm, yeah. And then that's literally,
I know him.
He's like, that was amazing. And so from like that point on, like he was just like, did you bring your noisometer from when we go to the bar?
So we all hung out in Indianapolis together.
So
really
Dr. Singh, to add to what she said, I'll tell people, you should have a call with our CEO, Dr. Singh, and he's this guy with a turban, and people are like very like, oh, okay, yeah. And then you go and you meet with him, and he sounds like he's like a guy that's like smoking a joint at the beach in California, like a surfer guy.
Yeah,
he's like,
no, he's awesome.
Hey, yeah, what's going on? It's Dr. Singh. Yeah, that's cool.
Hey,
like,
man.
He's so humble.
Yeah.
So laid back.
Yeah.
So kind, but wicked smart.
Oh, yeah.
He is a key opinion leader for narcolepsy. He's an amazing speaker. He should do more of that because he's so good at what he does. But I've been sending him business over the years. And so I finally joined him as his COO and executive vice president September 1st. So that was, thank you so much. When you start a new position and it's like you need that 6 months to like get used to it and figure things out. It felt like I've always been there.
Awesome.
Right? Like it's felt like
that's when you know you're in a right fit.
Yeah.
Right?
It's felt like I've been doing this for 12 years, right? Like I feel at home with him. He's got an amazing team that's been with him over 10 years, which says a lot about a leader.
It really does.
When a leader has employees that are with him long term and are loyal to him, one of the most important keys in working for a good company is having a good leader.
Absolutely.
Good leadership.
Yeah.
And if
that establishes the culture, right?
It does.
And so the reality is that person who, even if they failed or something, the fact that they went back and that they were continuing to drive and have progress. And so I think that there's part of that is not only identifying the right people for the job, having the right culture, but then also having a vision people can buy into, right?
Yeah.
And so really, you don't make people accountable. You give them something that they want to be accountable to.
Sure.
Right? And then that's where you see a culture like this.
The neat thing about Dr. Singh is that he is so pro oral appliance. He really believes in it. He deals with rare sleep diseases. So he, identifies all different types of sleep diseases, but he also interprets every HST on the market. There isn't a home sleep test that, he doesn't read and interpret. Absolutely. We have a large team, so it's not just Dr. Singh. We have providers that do these reads in all 50 states as well. So we don't do home sleep testing.
That's right.
We only do reads. We only do telemedicine. So that's our niche. We're able to do very high volume reads, and we can even do same day telemedicine.
In our sleep world, there are drivers and there are people that have been in the industry forever that are not.
Yeah, they're passengers.
That was a very polite way of me saying that, Fatima, but there really are that are really not respected. It's kind of a joke. But then there's others that you're in awe that they are still in it, and they're still striving, and they're still motivated, and they're still passionate about it after all these years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Ed was a great example. Dr. Ed, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Even rewatching the podcast, I got fired up. He is.
Yeah. He is.
He is.
He is.
I
agree.
So where do you see the future, Fatima? You've been in this long enough. If I were to say AI, and Ed said this on the podcast too, I think there's going to come a day where people literally come in an office already diagnosed, ready to be on one modality or another. They'll get it that day. We're getting to
or
the
medication.
I will tell you where I think I see the future. Okay. I think that every person will have a home sleep test device in their home. Yep. And will screen every single day. Because if you look at some of the new HSTs, right? Like some of those HSTs, people are wearing them consecutively, doing 30, 60, 90 days, even a year. People are really interested in their sleep. Mm-hmm. Everybody's got these apps on their phone. Mm-hmm. They want to know, oh my God, how many times did I wake up? People are buying supplements, melatonin, magnesium. People are really aware now of sleep health.
When looking at the ability to do so much of this ongoing screening, we're already seeing that there's a divergence of like, who is it helping and who is it hurting? We're constantly talking about duration of sleep. You see the American Heart Association changing Life Simple 7 to Life's Essential 8, right?
Yes.
By adding sleep. And most people thought it was because of obstructive sleep apnea. It had nothing to do with that. No. It actually was about duration because we recognize the average adult, if they're sleeping less than 6 hours, it's associated with increased risk in all-cause mortality. That means you are more likely to die from everything. So you are more likely to get cancer. You're more likely to get a heart attack, a stroke, right? You name it, you're more likely, right? And now with that stated, that does create also a fear-mongering opportunity of that if you're not getting this X number of hours of sleep, you therefore are going to die. And that really is, again, taking the pendulum and swinging it in a completely wrong direction. Right. And so although there's going to be increasing modalities, and you're correct, I get it all the time. My Oura Ring says this. Just last night, actually, someone goes, look at my app, tell me how my sleep is. And I said, well, first of all, the fact that you only are giving yourself 5 hours opportunity to sleep, you're never going to get the right number of hours. And I see on some nights you're sleeping an hour and a half. This is really dangerous. But they're like, so this is a problem. And I'm like, well, if this is the first that you're aware that this is a problem, yes, it's a problem. But I guess my other question for you is despite this app of me looking at this, what is your day like? Do you have mood issues? Do you have cognitive issues? Do you feel like you're sleepy during the day? What's your weight like? What's your eating like? Where I would love to see sleep go is, yes, an increased awareness, people being more involved, but really transforming the mindset about sleep as a comorbidity or something that is to be fixed, but more so that sleep is a tool in your toolbox of optimizing your overall health, and that you can also use it across medicine for diagnosis, prognosis, and therapeutic intervention.
Kind of going back to what Fatima said, I mean, I think every single patient should test. Now, are they using different companies and different ways to do it? Absolutely. Every single patient that you see in here has to have a sleep.
Sure. Absolutely. Again, this is, do you have information that is actionable that you can do something different? And so when we had Ed on, we had talked about the American College of Cardiology in November of 2020 coming out and saying doing just questions alone about obstructive sleep apnea is insufficient. They were identifying about 60 to 65% of people who did the questions had obstructive sleep apnea. Right. However, when they did the home sleep test, they found about 80 to 85% had obstructive sleep apnea. It's not because it's a comorbidity, right? It's not because I have atrial fibrillation and I have OSA. It's because OSA is a driver to you having atrial fibrillation. And if I subject you to an ablation and I fix that, but I don't fix the sleep apnea, you now are going to go right back into that. You now are going to continue to have that increased risk, right?
People will look at everything except sleep. They'll literally go and look at everything.
Yes. Right?
They'll take every single test. They'll spend, thousands of dollars at the doctor's office taking all these different stress tests and this and this and that. If you would have just looked at your sleep. Yes. Were you guys just talking about this?
We just had this chef on who we're going to call Dr. Robbie moving forward. Yes. 8 years. So finally, just one day, someone goes, "You're not a sleep test now?"
Yeah. I have a friend,
and it was a dentist.
And it was an HST.
I had a friend that was doing everything she could in the world to lose weight, and I would just tell her, take a sleep test, and she said, Fatima, I have accepted the fact that I'm fat. And she took a sleep test and she lost 40 pounds because she got on CPAP. She wanted to do everything, but she called me and said, "Hey, what are you doing today?" I was like, I'm working. Why? She goes, can you take off? I said, well, it depends. What do you want to do? So I'm thinking of going to Camelback, hiking up and then down on the other side, and then up and then down on the other side, and doing that 2 more times. I said, have you lost your mind? She said, no. And she would really hike like that. But she was big.
Yeah.
She couldn't lose the weight.
Yeah.
As soon as she got on CPAP.
Because when you look at the studies on CPAP and weight loss, it actually is equivocal. You're expending more energy to breathe during sleep. And so what is fascinating, though, when you're thinking about sleep in general, and really when people are on their weight loss journey, sleep should be a part of it. Why? Because we know that when you're not sleeping well, whether it's due to obstructive sleep apnea or insomnia, what happens is that your neuroendocrine axis, my brain telling my body what hormones it should produce. There are 2 hormones that are really very important in terms of our food-seeking behaviors, the types of food we're eating, and our sense of feeling full or satiety, leptin and ghrelin. You should be eating, I get full, I'm choosing foods that are more nutritious. What happens is there's an inverse in those, and you end up having less fullness, constant hunger, and you choose lower quality foods. And so we find that people who have sleep disorders, not only are you experiencing that, but then you're also having insulin resistance. So I'm not using the sugars that I should. I'm having increased cortisol, so I'm creating even more sugar in my body. So you create this dynamic in your body that is a recipe for disaster. And we are, especially as women, we constantly are kind of doing yo-yo dieting and all these other things. No one's talking about sleep as that additional tool in your tool belt to be successful. And meanwhile, when you look at premier athletes, major league athletes, Olympic athletes, who's on your coaching squad? It's a sleep doctor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
Because it makes a difference
Big
in
difference.
terms of your overall health and your performance.
I guarantee you, your friend is living her best life now because of a CPAP. That's awesome.
Yeah, and to be honest, I know she got on therapy. You know, it was severe, so she probably started with CPAP for sure. But
That's awesome.
just to see her transform like that and lose that much weight, and she's tried everything in the world. People never think about sleep.
Yeah.
So.
And her weight loss by itself may have been curative. One of the things that we've learned is the distribution of adiposity or your fat actually has a bigger influence. And so we recognize it differs in men and women of how that adiposity is distributed. And so what we find is that there's the more visceral your fat is distributed. So instead of it being like that subcutaneous, it's more on your organs. But also it then gets deposited in your neck in other areas. So those things are going to have very, very significant impact on your sleep disorder breathing as well as your other health outcomes. There's a phenomenon called NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, fatty liver disease, right? And typically we would see fatty liver associated with alcohol use, alcohol abuse disorder.
Absolutely.
And so one of the studies that we had looked at is saying, if you have an excessive daytime sleepiness phenotype, are you more likely to have a more aggressive form of NASH? And what we had found is yes. And this now is corresponding to other literature that we're seeing where if you have OSA and you have excessive daytime sleepiness, especially the persistent EDS, you're on therapy, you're treating your OSA appropriately, but you're still sleepy, those individuals are also at higher risk for adverse cardiovascular outcomes. So there are all these factors. And so the take-home point that I would have for our listeners is that if you are, again, identifying that you're having difficulties with the quality of your sleep, the duration of your sleep, the timing of your sleep, or you're just damn mad that your daytime sucks so much because I'm falling asleep and I'm irritable or I'm having difficulty focusing, I'm having cognitive issues. This is your call to action to say, partner with the person who is your care provider and identify whether or not there are things you can do for your sleep. It might be calling up Dr. Singh at iSleep and getting on his practice profile to be able to understand how you can have better nights for better days.
That is usually the natural first step. I've shared this before that Brandon and I got invited to this conference in Beverly Hills. There's all these ways that they're fixing sleep. Some are not as useful as others. But it was interesting that nobody took a sleep test. And so I see all these consumers buying these products that could or could not work. My first question was, when is a sleep test being done? Fatima, how much does it cost to do an HST out of pocket? Anywhere in the world? $200.
Couple $100.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it's also covered on every single insurance, on Medicare, on Medicaid.
Commercial.
Anybody can get a sleep test. You can get it at your house. You can get it drop shipped to your home.
Yeah.
There is no excuse to find out. We have everybody, not everybody, I'm probably the only person in the United States who hadn't done this. They will literally get a tube sent to them. They will spit in this tube. They will send it off to find out if their father had an affair many years ago in Korea or whatever. It's called 23andMe. We will get a box shipped to us, and we will shit in that box. We will then close that box, and we will ship it. I've done colon guard, and we will ship our shit out to get it checked because of our colon, right, of cancer. But a home sleep test is non-invasive.
That's right.
There are
it's not that messy either.
It's not that messy. You're not spitting or shitting. That should be our slogan. Get an HST. You won't have to spit or shit. But my point is in using a company like iSleep, 50 states, people, to get read.
Yeah.
And did y'all hear this? Like, this is huge news. Same day. We always talk about same day service and all this. For our sleep community, a sense of urgency we've always had, like, you've got to get this checked. You've got to get this checked. We get it checked. And then you wait around, and now you're waiting to get an appointment to go see the sleep doc. Then you're waiting a week to go to the in-lab. And then you're waiting to get your CPAP. Then you wait to go pick it up the DME to get the thing. And then if you don't wear it, we take it from you.
Yeah, and you have to start that cycle all over.
All right, I'll even make fun of my own company or my own industry. So we talk about how serious it is, oral device therapy. So we do it, and then we finally get it insurance covered, and then it takes weeks.
That's right.
To get delivered.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how serious it is. So what are we doing in between those weeks?
Yeah.
And so,
well, what we're doing is we're deconditioning the population to prioritize sleep, right?
Yes.
So we say if I had a patient who they came to the ER because they had a seizure, they would see me within 10 days. We would be addressing their needs immediately, and then they would see, and that comes with the sense
between
of urgency,
they'd probably be in
exactly
being monitored.
Exactly. We generally will first respond with sleep hygiene. I can't emphasize this enough. Sleep hygiene has never ever been shown to fix a sleep problem. It only will help in preventing a sleep problem. However, we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater when we're saying that you have a sleep problem, we want to fix it. Now, the second piece is that I do think, although sleep tests are very, very important, it also is really important to have the right approach for the problem that you have. The reason I think that that's really important to point out is because although a home sleep test is one that carries a lot of convenience, it does not diagnose all sleep disorders, and many times not needed in all sleep disorders.
Right. It will never diagnose centrals.
Yeah.
So,
and it also
but
is not
it will
going
work
to
for like 98% of people.
But what I'm saying though, for OSA. But what I'm saying though is that we have over 70 different types of sleep disorders, and so if you have insomnia, you don't need a sleep test.
Nope.
You need cognitive behavioral therapy. You need someone to help you kind of go through that. If you have narcolepsy,
tranquilizers.
Yes. If you have narcolepsy, you are a person who a home sleep test is not the right test for you. You need an in-lab polysomnography with a following day MSLT. Yep. And so the reason I just want to make sure that I'm highlighting this for our listeners is because I have seen, if I've seen it once, I've seen it 1,000 times. The person who comes in and they're still having the horrible days, the excessive daytime sleepiness, and they're like, but I had the home sleep test and it said it was negative. And I go, well, that's just because we tested for the wrong thing.
That's right.
So recognizing that one of the advantages that you're discussing is that you can partner a home sleep test if needed with an expert in the field to be able to say, is that what is right for you, right? And if it's not, let's get you on a path forward that is better
and
for
I've told you this before, and I think we even brought it up with Ed. Everybody should take a sleep test. They should always be monitoring their sleep.
That's right.
Period. Not just for OSA, period. So there could be people that have lost a lot of weight. They're healthier now. They no longer have to use a CPAP. They still should be monitoring their sleep. That might be the first way to go, okay, well, I don't have OSA. There's something else going on.
Yeah. Right.
And at least they're in that realm.
Yeah. I think essentially what we're all saying the same thing. Having the right ecosystem and the right education, the right tools available is what is going to be critical. And so making sure we're driving that balance of personalizing. So it can't be the one size fits all, everyone gets a home sleep test, because that's going to answer everyone's problem.
Right.
But it is saying, how do we make it more convenient and more accessible, more of a patient-directed journey, so that this way we are not missing the majority of people who have these sleep disorders. And because that is where we're at right now, the climate in the United States is that everyone has a sleep issue. And so therefore, we mistake common for normal. Wow. And so we then accept lesser forms of ourselves because everyone looks like this. This is normal. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. How many times have we had the people who have said to us, I didn't know what great looked like until I went on vacation and I slept well. And what do? We go, man, Key West is amazing. You get the best sleep there, right? And it's not that it was Key West. It had nothing to do with it. It was the fact that you actually got a great night's sleep, and that is possible in your own damn bed.
Speaking of that, there was an article, believe it was like Forbes magazine, and The first article talked about how many Americans are too scared to take a day off. They might replace me with somebody else. Maybe my boss will see that as slacking. Like, people get nervous. And the second article talked about how in order to fully rejuvenate mentally, physically, emotionally, your body, your sleep, everything, you need minimum of 9 days PTO, like vacation. That's without travel. 9 days minimum. Then you start to actually like rejuvenate and
Really?
yeah. 9 days.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
So overseas they're doing it right.
If you look at their lifespan, their sleep studies, there's some crazy stuff in Iceland, why they live longer,
Yeah, that's right.
healthier.
So some of the factors, though, that do throw some difficulty in the interpretation and being able to apply that to the United States population is we're a melting pot. So when we look at like Iceland, that's a very homogeneous population, right? It's like everyone is genetically exactly the same.
That is true.
So looking at longitudinal studies and saying, okay, they're doing something right. They're doing something right for their particular population. So I can't take that and now say this is great for my Hispanic population, my African American population, my Italian American population, et cetera. But I do think that where we're going now is a world of big data, right? And so with big data, we find that we're saying we're going to take global populations, look at them longitudinally, and then try to understand what are the actual risk factors and protective factors that we can more globally apply to be able to say, okay, yes, this is the right direction we should be going in. But I agree with you. I think at this point in our U.S. society, we are a FOMO, right? We're fear of missing out. We're fear of failing. We're fearful of being replaced. I can tell you that it's not only the fear I take off that someone's going to think I'm working less, but for me, I can tell you it's, oh my God, how many emails? How many emails am I going to have? How many sleep studies am I going to have to read? How many? And you constantly are doing that.
Stressing about it.
And I will tell you, I did not realize I was burnt out until I had gone to World Sleep last year. And we went to Rome. We were there for 2 weeks. And it was around that like 7, 8, 9 day that I was like, holy cow.
Wow.
I'm burnt out. I finally had this like moment and I was like, I need to do something different when I get back.
Listen, I don't read Forbes. I know that shocks you guys. I'm way less than 9 days, and the water plays a key part of that for me. We do need to wrap up. So before we do, I definitely want to make sure that Fatima, that it's isleep.com.
That's right.
Guys, please reach out. If I do know one thing, Fatima will follow up. There is no doubt.
isleepmd.com.
Say it again.
isleepmd.com, or you can reach out to me directly.
How we end every episode now is we ask 5 questions.
Wait a second. Where's our song?
Well, we will play the song during the episode.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, my word. I'm not going to dance. Yeah, I'm not going to dance. You'll have it at the end.
All right. Okay.
And just act like I'm dancing. Act like I'm dancing too. All right. We got 5 questions.
All right. 5
They're a little silly.
Okay.
A little immature.
Go ahead. Okay, you can
start. All right. So first one is very important how you answer this, Fatima.
Yes,
for our friendship.
Yes.
All right. There's 2 types of people in this world.
Oh, man.
And you're one of the other. You ready? Are you a sock, shoe? Are you a sock, shoe?
When you're putting on your shoes and your socks, do you put your socks on first and then your shoes, or do you do a sock at a time and a shoe at a time? Like I put my sock on, I put my shoe on, or do you put both socks?
I'm a sock, shoe.
Okay, good. Okay, yeah.
Did I answer that right?
We were 3 for 3 today.
Yes. And you know what's bad is one of these days someone's going to go and we're going to go, that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, all right, thank you so much for sleeping around. But no. All right. So this one is a very, very also important question. Very important. Some people feel it's a little bit personal, but I think that our viewers really value the response.
You got to know.
Yeah, exactly. So would you say that you are more of a top or a bottom?
Oh my God, this is.
I mean, in a bunk bed, in a bunk bed.
When you're sleeping in bunk beds.
And when you're sleeping in bunk beds.
What were you thinking?
What were you thinking? Come on,
Fatima.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Bunk beds.
Bunk beds. Top or bottom?
Always top.
Okay. All right. Good.
I had no doubts about that, actually.
So far, I think I'm the only bottom.
I'm the only bottom.
I'm serious.
He waits the bottom.
Yeah,
he waits the bottom. Yeah, exactly.
Number
Across
3.
multiple spheres of life.
So number 3, at night with your significant other, do you snuggle all night?
Nope.
Or do you snuggle for a minute and then?
Yeah, B.
Okay.
Yeah, a snuggle and turn.
Yeah.
A snuggle and turn. I think that's a married person's response.
I think
everybody.
We haven't met us. I think
Yeah.
that would be like the sock shoe
To
person.
actually
But I mean, I feel
cuddle
like-
all night throughout the night.
Yeah,
like
it gets
this.
really hot. But I
It
feel
gets
like when I
hot.
first started dating my husband, I feel like
in the
we
beginning.
did. Yeah,
In the
right? That's what I'm saying.
beginning,
It's like
maybe.
a comfortable married thing where you're like, and I feel like I also saw on social media recently, it was funny. It was like the when you first started dating and you're sleeping and you're like, you kind of like look like this right now when you first start dating, right? And then it's like a few years in and it's like you have like your mouth guard in and you're like here and you're like, I'm like, that's where we're at right now. My husband comes in, I'm like, huh?
Honey, okay.
But my cat is at my feet all night.
That's right. She loves her cat. All right, your question.
All right.
Would you say you're big spoon or little spoon when you're cuddling?
Oh, cuddling. Oh.
Because you do some cuddling, I'm sure.
Yeah. Big
Not with your cat.
Big spoon or little spoon?
Yeah. So the big spoon usually is like,
Like this.
and he'd be the little spoon. If I was the big spoon,
It'll
he'd
be
be the
like
little spoon.
this.
Oh, little spoon.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I figured.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you're
You're a little spoon. I'm a little spoon. Yeah.
you're a little spoon. Okay.
I thought these were going to be like, Holyfield or Tyson. Coffee or tea. Dogs or cats.
Well,
So-
clearly you're cats.
Yeah.
I
clearly.
am. Yeah. Cats.
All right.
And I'm Tyson and tea. Just so everybody knows. But it's
I'm glad
Oh, wait,
because you know
wait,
what the
wait.
viewers totally would have been like
Yeah.
Miracle Whip or mayo.
Mayo.
Oh,
Mayo.
Mayo.
You cannot say
Yeah,
Miracle
no, you
Whip.
can't.
All right. I'll
Yeah.
answer your other question since. you
Okay.
answered
Yeah.
mine.
Go ahead.
Coffee.
Yep. Okay.
Holyfield all the way.
What?
And I'm a dog person, so
Oh.
we are
We are.
3 for 3. We are not on the same page.
I will never look at you the same now.
But wait, you said you like Miracle Whip?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
he's mayo.
Oh,
He's-
okay.
He's
Okay.
good at
I was
it.
like,
good.
I was like,
He's
wait
good
a
at it.
minute.
But
I
you know
told
what?
you.
But you lost me at Tyson. But anyway, what was the other one?
Holyfield beat Tyson over and over.
Tyson, all
Yeah.
the way.
I like Tyson too.
Yeah, all
I
right,
like
okay.
Tyson too.
Okay.
And then was there a fourth?
You know he raised pigeons.
Yes, I know. I saw his not a
How
stand, his
cute.
one man show. He
right?
was
Pigeons.
okay. We're gonna
Okay,
end.
okay.
I loved him in Hangover.
Great.
Oh yeah, he's
Right?
awesome.
Right,
I was like, I mean, that to me, I was just like,
Yeah. What do you wear when you sleep?
oh,
That
no,
was
we did
it.
ask you. That was when I asked Robbie. I asked Robbie,
I
yeah.
ask people that all the time.
All right.
Yeah.
I have not ever in my life worn clothes to sleep.
Thank you.
Even if I'm sleeping next to my girlfriend. Naked.
Well, no. When I slept next to your girlfriend, I was like pants on, and she was like, "Why is Matt wearing pants?" Tima goes, "I don't know. We're all naked." I'm kidding. I'm joking. I'm with you, although I do in appropriate times. I wear shorts.
Appropriate time. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than if you're dating somebody and their kid walks in and you're butt naked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's different.
If that were to ever happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
All right, your turn. You
Yeah.
never answered this question. Have you answered this question before?
I want to stay mysterious.
Oh,
The suspense.
okay. That's fair.
It really depends.
It really
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You wear,
I wanna-
you wear Depends?
Yep. Depends.
Dude,
Yep.
you are. All right, guys, we've got to end this. I actually got to take a flight, believe it or not. I'm the one who's
You're
ending
not
this.
going anywhere. Where's the strobe lights? Where's the song?
Yeah, let's get the music
So
going.
what we're going to
This-
do.
We're going to get the music
This-
bumping.
this-
what
is
we're going to do,
Fatima's
hold on.
sleep
No,
song.
watch what I'm going to do.
Watch.
We're going to
Tell.
end this podcast, then we will shoot the song and me and all of us dancing to it.
Okay.
You have my word. So follow this podcast. Please like and subscribe. And Fatima, thank you so much for
Thank you
sleeping
for
around
having
with
me.
Dr. Ann and Matthew. And
We're just keeping it between sleep friends.
love you, Dan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
Sleeping
you.
around.